Hey, what's up? Will Hamilton here. And if you're a doubles player and you're unhappy with your strategy, specifically your shot selection, a lot of the times you feel like you're hitting the wrong shots, then I want to invite you to pick up a copy of the new rules of doubles. Because inside tennis analytics expert Craig O'Shaughnessy shows you 21 new rules, new strategies proven through his big data analysis to have the highest winning percentage. And what that means is, when you plug these new strategies into your game, you'll immediately start hitting the right shots and you'll win more matches. So what I want to do right now is take you inside the new rules of doubles so that you can see if it's right for you. And what I want to do is show you the new rule for serving. Now you can see in this diagram here at the top, we've got the old rule. That's the old school strategy you were taught that is inferior. In this case, that you have to serve in volley. And below, we've got the new rule. And then if I click the play button down here, the video pops up where Craig explains what the new rule is and how to do it. And before we get to the video, let me briefly introduce Craig and explain why the analytics are so important. Take a look at this picture of a basketball court. The little red dots are the top shot locations in the NBA. And on the left, you have the top shot locations from the 2001 and 2002 season. And on the right, you have the top shot locations from just a couple years ago. And what you can see is the game of basketball has completely changed. Today, players basically only shoot layups or three-pointers. So why did the game of basketball change so much? Analytics. When the data geeks dug into the numbers, they found that layups and three-pointers were worth more than other shots. For example, let's say you make a 2-point layup 60% of the time you shoot it. 2 times 0.6 equals 1.2 points per shot. Now let's say you make a three-pointer 40% of the time you shoot it. 3 times 0.4 also equals 1.2 points per shot. But what about a 2-point jump shot from 15 feet away that you make 50% of the time? 2 times 0.5 equals only 1 point per shot. That last shot is an inferior shot. And take a look at this picture again. You can see that jumpers from 10 to 15 feet, called mid-range jumpers, have evaporated from the game of basketball in the last 2 decades. So if you know that mid-range jumpers from 10 to 15 feet are bad shots, well then a strategy to get the players in position to take those shots, that's also a bad strategy. But on the flip side, if we know that layups are good shots and three-pointers are good shots, well then a strategy that gets the team in position to take those shots, that is a good strategy. So these analytics, this math, is why the game of basketball has completely changed. And when Craig looked at basketball, and frankly looked at pretty much every other sport, take baseball for example, with sabermetrics and Moneyball, you might be familiar with that, or at least the movie with Brad Pitt, Craig was saying the same has got to be true for tennis. There are got to be some shots that are mathematically superior to other shots. And when Craig dug into the numbers, the results were eye-opening. Craig realized from the pro level down to the college level, down to the rec level, down to the juniors, players were just taking a ton of bad shots. And just like basketball, if there are places on the court that lead to bad shots, well, we don't want to be using strategies that set up those bad shots. But if there are places on the court that lead to good shots, well, obviously we want to be using strategies that put us in position to hit those good shots. And when word got out of Craig's work, he was immediately hired by Novak Djokovic at the beginning of the 2017 season. And then for the next 2 years, Djokovic won 4 out of the 8 majors he played in. So the results speak for themselves. The analytics give you a huge advantage over the competition, whether you're Novak Djokovic playing Rafael Nadal or Roger Federer, or whether it's you at your level, the USTA league and club level. So chances are, right now, you are using a lot of old rules, old strategies that are setting up bad shots, the equivalent of that mid-range jumper. So right now what I want to do is show you the old rule for serving, and that's where you had to serve in volley, and then the new rule, what you can do instead. So let's watch that video right now. Craig, the old rule was you absolutely had to serve in volley. What's the new rule?
Well, I grew up in that era, and I was always serving and volleying first serve and second serve. In today's game, you have options. You can certainly still do that if you feel your volleys are proficient and you like to come forward, parties at the net. But in today's game, there are a lot of players at all levels, at the pros, winning Grand Slams, and also at the amateur level, where you're having success serving and staying back. And the way to understand this is an analogy from another sport, which is beach volleyball, where we have 2-on-2 as well. The player at the back in beach volleyball is the setter. Their only role is to set up the player at the front of the court, which is the spiker. So when you do serve and stay back, and we're going to see from the percentages here, don't think that you're back setting and spiking. Your role is to stay back and still set up the player at the front of the court.
Yeah, you got some numbers up here. So walk us through what all these analytics show.
Yeah, really simple stuff here. So when the point ends at the net, the winner is 65% of the time. The error is 35% of the time.
Sure, the last shot.
It's exactly right, the last shot. And when we look at the baseline, where we've opted to serve and stay back, now the last shot can be down the line as a passing shot. The last shot can be a lob. The last shot can be a ground stroke. The winners now drop to only 25% of the time. Errors are 75%. So clearly here, when you follow the numbers, if you are serving and staying back, which is cool, know that the winners are going to be tough to get. You are still trying to set up your partner at the front.
Yeah, the shots you're hitting back here, basically pretty much the sole goal, obviously with some exceptions, but basically the primary objective is that ground stroke is designed to get a shot from the other team that your partner can pick off.
What we're always talking about here is to make the opponent uncomfortable. You're hitting a ball that the major quality may be depth, it may be spin, it may be height, it could be direction, it could be your core position, maybe it's taking time away from the opponent, but make the opponent uncomfortable on the other side of the net. Maybe they have a big step, the racket faces open, there's a lot of ways, to put them into a defensive position, and then your net player can have a feast up at the front of the court.
Okay, so let's go to the next page, and Craig, walk us through some strategies for how we can set and how we can spike.
As a general rule, the serving team wants to keep the ball through the middle of the court. So I'm going to put a couple of lines right down here. From the serving team, which we have at the bottom in yellow, if the serve goes through the middle, we now, and especially when we're looking at the percentages, if we make a first serve, percentages go up. We've got a backhand return on this side, which is again in our favor as a serving team. A ball in the middle will tend to come back through the middle. And now we have, thank you, Will, now we have the service partner who is typically going to be a right-handed player, and now they've got a forehand volley in the middle of the court. So first serve in, backhand return, and a forehand volley at the net. Things are looking good for the serving team.
So this is obviously a best case scenario. Let's say that the returner comes up with a pretty good return, and that ball then gets back to the server over here. What's our next option? The next thing we can do to set and spike?
Well, the servers hit the ball, the returners hit their shot, the service partners try to get involved, the ball has come back cross court, and now the returner's partner can have some influence in the point. So in this situation, we've got a good cross court return. The returner's partner, let's move them up, they're getting a little bit involved. So what should happen over here now is that we are going to keep the ball away from the returner's partner, and we're going to attack with depth. We want to get that ball into the deep area back here. We want to take the opponent's time away to get prepared. Quite often with a deep ball, the player at the back is going to take still a big swing, which makes contact difficult. And when you make the opponent uncomfortable at the back of the court, it helps the service partner get involved when the ball comes back.
So return gets back to the server. If this player is good, they're then going to move up, and they're going to try and pick off the server's next shot. So I'm assuming the server, most of the time, is going to want to hit a forehand. That's probably the stronger shot, so they'll be looking for that ball. And then the middle becomes less of an option because this person is, again, if they're doing their job, taking that away. So you got to go more cross court to keep it away from the returner's partner. And then, so instead of attacking middle and the backhand, the weapon of choice now becomes more depth, right? So if you're the net player here, excuse me, you're looking for a deep ball, and then that's when you look to pick this off, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So remember, we've always talked about the 8 ways to force an error: consistency, direction, depth, height, spin, power, core position, and time. To start the point, it was very much about direction to the backhand and keeping it in the middle. Now it's much more about depth, and it's also about taking time away and making the opponent uncomfortable, even with spin. And I also like to hit, personally, a higher ball, which comes in and makes it bounce up at an angle and makes it tougher to step in, which brings my partner in play at the front of the court.
So last situation where we can set up, or we can do setting and spiking. Let's say this person is actually incompetent, which you see a lot of the time, certainly at the club level. Even at the pros, though, you get people who are out of position. If you see this, what now becomes our options? Obviously, if this person's hanging out over here covering the alley, you can just hit through the middle, and this is wide open. But what are some other options we can utilize if this person is out of position?
If they are not doing their job, they're going to be standing back behind the service line, kind of watching the action go by. You're in a cross-court rally. Let's say in this situation, the opponent on the other side has better ground strokes than you, and you don't really want to be trading there for too long. If the returner's partner is back, if they are inactive, if they are just watching rather than trying to get involved, I think a great idea is to get the ball at their feet, make them have to hit up, and then the service partner can come across to the middle and pick that ball off. And this may be something that you've already pre-planned during the point. You've talked to the partner after a previous point and said, I noticed that the returner's partner's staying back, they're not very active, they are vulnerable at the feet. So having that communication between you and your partner can really help in this situation.
Yeah, what I diagrammed when you were talking to camera is, here's the shot that came up, and a lot of the times you'll see when this is done well, the Bryans used to do this all the time, is the net player will actually cross onto their partner's side of the court to pick off that ball. So it very much a lot of the times would be something that's pre-planned at the Bryans and certainly at y'all's level. But this is a really good way to exploit the net player who's out of position.
And I think when we look at old rule versus new rule, the old rule was much more about keep it away from the returner's partner. And our new rule, because the volleys aren't quite as good and the ground strokes are a little bigger, the new rule is to exploit the returner's partner, especially by going at their feet. The height of the net in the middle is 3 feet high. When you make your opponent have to hit below that height, you're always at an advantage in doubles.
Okay, so that was the new rule for serving, and there are 21 new rules inside the new rules of doubles. Now, you might be wondering about the logo, because it kind of looks like a pie chart you might see in your stock portfolio, and what's with the little green slice, and why is the tagline, small margins win matches? Because I want to share what might be the most important statistic to be aware of when it comes to winning more doubles matches. So imagine a team right now that you and your partner are dead even with. This is somebody, a team you play right now, and whenever you guys play, it's 50-50, right? It can go either way. You win some, you lose some. So what percentage lift do you think you and your partner would need to not only beat that team comfortably, but become the best team in your league or at your club, at your level? Because when Craig dug into the numbers, he found that the #1 doubles team in the world, didn't matter who they were, could be the Bryan brothers, could be somebody else, but they were winning 55% of the points they were playing throughout the entire season. It's like the magic number in tennis. And what that means is, whether it's the pros, whether it's college, whether it's the USTA league and club level, all the way down to the juniors, you and your partner just need to win 55% of the points you play to not only currently beat that team you're dead even with, but actually become the best team at your level. You just got to go from 50% to 55%. You just need that tiny 5% lift. That's what the little green slice is, and you and your partner are the best team at your level. And that's what these 21 new rules are going to do. We're going to cut out the old rules, we're going to replace them with the new rules, and get you that tiny 5% lift because small margins win matches. Now, if you've been following Fuzzy Yellow Balls for a while, you know that in the past, when we work with top talent like Craig or Martina Navratilova or the Bryan brothers, those programs typically run $397. But what I want to do for a limited time here on this page is let you get access to the new rules of doubles for just one payment of $67. All you got to do is scroll down this page to check out, and you'll have instant access to all 21 new rules. So when you pick up a copy of the new rules of doubles, we are also throwing in 3 awesome bonuses. And the first bonus is called Pest Control by the Numbers, because there are 3 types of opponents that are particularly pesky, right? A very particular type of pest. And the first is the Great Returner. These are opponents who are just on top of your serve, makes it very difficult for either you or your partner to poach at the net. The second is the aggressive poaching team. So these are the opponents where you can't seem to get a ball by them, right? Whenever you go cross court, they poach. Whenever you try and beat them down the line, they've read your mind and they stay. Either way, they're putting away a ton of balls at the net. And then the last opponent is maybe the most hated, is the lobbers. These are the doubles matches that just turn into lob wars. So what Craig has done is for these 3 types of opponents, he has dug into the numbers, and he's going to show you the specific strategy for beating each type of pest. So you can see right now we've got a red box around the returner here, and if I click the play button, the video pops up where Craig shows you how to beat the returner. And then if I swipe over, that box is now around the poacher. So if I hit the play button now, it would pull up the video on how to beat the aggressive poachers. And then if I swiped over one more time, now the red box is around the lobber. Then if I click the play button, well, the video on how to beat the lobber pops up. So Craig is like your data-driven Orkin man, and it's time to eliminate these pests once and for all. So normally this bonus sold separately would be $97, but you get it for free, again, as a bonus when you pick up a copy of the new rules of doubles here on this page today. Now, the second bonus is called Big Point Strategy, and this is where Craig shows you the strategies with the highest winning percentages on big points, and specifically how to save break points. So when you're down break point, what is the strategy you need to be using? What is the strategy with the highest winning percentage? And then if I swipe over, you can see now the red box has moved over to converting break points. And again, this all works the same way. If I hit that play button, it's the converting break point video. If I swipe back, now the red box is around saving break points. That video would pop up. But in terms of converting break points, well, what is the strategy you want to use to give yourself the best chance of converting break points, of breaking serve? And then finally, we've got tiebreakers. Now, this is actually where we're throwing you a little bit of a curveball, because this video is with Bob and Mike Bryan. They are the greatest men's doubles team of all time. And for playing breakers and super breakers, that's one of the things that sets them apart. So we are bringing them in to explain their tiebreaker strategy, which was obviously very analytically sound because they've won more majors than any other doubles team that's ever played. And if I click this button down here, you can see there's Bob and Mike walking you through their tiebreaker strategy. So this bonus sold separately is $97, but it is included for free when you pick up a copy of the new rules of doubles. So the third and final bonus is awesome. It is called the Data-Driven Practice Plan, because it's one thing to know what the new rules are, and it's another for you, your partner, and your team to incorporate those new rules into your game as fast as possible. Cut out the old rules as fast as possible, get the new rules into your game as fast as possible. And that's what Craig shows you how to do inside the Data-Driven Practice Plan. We've got 4 drills for you. The first one is called the Sidewinder. The second one is the Approach and Volley drill. The third drill is the Change of Direction drill. This one is super important. And then the last one is the Lob Eye Formation drill. This one is great if you are playing a lobbing team. So normally this bonus sold separately would be $97, but you get it for free as a bonus when you pick up a copy of the new rules of doubles here on this page today. So all you got to do to get this entire package is scroll down this page and click that button to check out. Remember, you are getting the new rules of doubles. That is a $397 value. You are getting pest control by the numbers. That is a $97 value. You are getting big point strategy. That is a $97 value. And you are getting the data-driven practice plan, also a $97 value. You add up all of that stuff, it comes out to $688 worth of data-driven strategies that you can get for just one payment of $67 here on this page today. Oh, and by the way, you are protected by my 365-day, no questions asked, money-back guarantee. And what that means is you can take all 21 of the new rules for a whirl for the next year. You can take all the bonuses for a whirl for the next year. And at the end of 365 days, if you're like, you know what, Will, this just wasn't really my thing, no worries. I will give you a complete refund. I will give you every single penny back. So that's the deal. I think it's a pretty good one because if you believe in the power of analytics to transform your game, there's nothing that's going to do it faster than the new rules of doubles with Craig O'Shaughnessy. So all you got to do is scroll down this page, click that button to check out, and you will have access to this entire program just minutes from now. I think you and your doubles partner are going to be really happy that you took me up on this offer.